Fence Riders.
Yeah.
Against Denver on Monday night, Jameis threw for 497 yards. So the question this time was, will Jameis throw for 335 or more against Pittsburgh? Guys, think how far we've come. We went down to 160. That's our lowest total for a no fence rider. We're up to 335 for Jameis.
Did we ever get to a point where you would say yes to?
I don't think so.
Because Mike was just going to keep going lower, lower, lower.
Yeah.
And I kept saying, that's not going to happen.
No.
And here's the crazy part. We're up to 335. 5 of us said yes, he will.
Yeah.
That's nothing.
Jay, Jason, Tyvis, and myself, 4 of us, I can't count, all said yes, he will. Bull,
He could have it by the
Earl,
third
G
quarter.
said no. Dead even split. Jay, you start us off. Why is he getting 335?
He's gone for 500. He's gone for 400. Now you're telling me all he needs is 335.
That's
I know
half.
it's a great defense. What was his number against Pittsburgh in the snow?
In the high 2s.
Okay. Give him a clean field. It's supposed to be good weather.
Yeah.
I just think he gets there. I think that's child's play for him.
Bull, you went no. Why'd you say no?
I mean, just the odds are that he's going to be under. Nobody routinely puts up 340 yards plus. I know he's done it a number of times. He's done it great, but
what's his average? Just for the
like,
games he's started. Because I know he went for 495.
I'm doing the math real quick. Hold on.
Oh boy.
For 395?
I don't know what.
While Mike's saying that up, he didn't ask me, but I'll answer anyway. The league will give you whatever you want between the 20s.
Yeah. And he's good at taking
He's averaging 336, and I did not know that before I made that number, I swear. But he's averaging 336 on the dot.
But they'll give you whatever you want between the 20s.
Yeah.
What decides games is, are you kicking threes or are you scoring sixes?
Yeah.
I just have a feeling.
Or throwing picks.
As much as they throw the ball, you can throw 6 the other way. But as much as the Browns are throwing the ball, I don't think that's going to change.
I'm just expecting a much better effort from the Steelers defensively. They didn't play great in the snow against
You
the
could
Browns.
get that, and he'll still get.
They didn't play great against them. No, he could. Listen, it wasn't an easy decision, which sounds ridiculous at 335. I think he'll be just under.
Hell, against New Orleans, he threw for 400, but to Jason's point, he had 14 points.
Yep.
He's burning it up between the 20s, and then now against the Saints, he didn't have any turnovers.
Yeah.
So the fact that they did that is always. I think they're going to take that game, the tape of it, and they're going to put it in the Hall of Fame, and they're going to say, you got to watch this because this will never happen again.
Well, right, last week I think I tweeted the most impressive stat while the game was going on is they were 3 for 3 in red zone possessions, 3 touchdowns, and then he threw the pick 6 the other way, and none of that mattered anymore.
Yeah.
The reason I went over, Pittsburgh's rush defense, top 5 in football. They're really good against the run. I think if the Browns are going to have any success moving the ball, it's going to come via the air. And that leads us into our second no fence rider question. Well, Nick Chubb, who ran for less than 25 yards last week, will he get 45 in his return to Pittsburgh, which is where the injury last season happened? Jay, Bull, G, Jason, Tyvis, and Earl all took the yes on the over 45. Dustin and myself went on the under.
Well, you explain why you think no. At 45 is such a small number. And they have to establish the run. They didn't at all last week.
It's really tough to run against Pittsburgh.
It
B,
is.
I just think they're going to split carries, and to get 45, he may need 12, 13, 14 carries. I don't think they're going to get 12, 13, 14 carries.
Yeah.
If you'd have put it at 60, I'd have said no.
I would have too.
But 40, I'm with you. 45 seemed like a low enough
I thought he
number.
could get 50.
I doubled his number from last week. That's how I came up with 45.
Yeah.
I mean,
so he had
9 carries for 22 yards.
Oh man.
And he had a 10-yard carry.
It's not infrequent
catch,
in the NFL
right?
for
a 10-yard
things.
reception.
What did you say?
You said and he had a 10-yard carry. Did you mean 10-yard reception?
No, he had, of those 21 yards, 10 came on one carry.
Oh, I see.
He had 8 carries for 11 yards.
He did catch a ball that
Yeah,
he caught a touchdown.
Touchdown.
Yeah.
So
It's not infrequent in the NFL for things to happen that you don't expect to happen. So
Correct.
everything points to the Browns have been terrible running the ball. The Steelers have been great at stopping the run. So wouldn't it just figure that for whatever reason this is the game that Nick Chubb has a good game?
Yeah.
Makes no sense. It's the opposite of what should happen. But I'm going a little George Costanza here and going the opposite.
Love that. All right, third question. It's a dead even split. And this was going to be a whole topic. I figured it worked better as a fence rider. But who has more receiving yards on Sunday? George Pickens or Jerry Jeudy? Jeudy coming off his 235-yard performance against the Broncos. Pickens in a revenge game against the Browns after he called them out post-loss just 2 weeks ago. Jay, Bull, G, and myself are on Team Jeudy. Jay, Tyvis, Earl, Dustin, they're on Team Pickens. Jay, you want to start with the Pickens? Jason, you want to start with Pickens, and then we'll explain why we're on the right side of history here.
It's really just the law of averages. for me, I don't know that Jerry can match what he did. Not that he has to match yardage-wise, but I don't know if he can put up another game like that. And Pickens, really for me, was Mike Tomlin calling him out after the game and saying he needs to be an adult and he needs to grow up. And when you get called out by the coach like that, it's sort of we're going to see who you are.
Yeah, it can go one of two ways.
It can go one of two ways. And given how upset he was at the end of the game a couple weeks ago, I just think he's going to be motivated.
Yeah, it'd be interesting. I think you're right. It's a character test for him.
Yeah.
Because when you're called out publicly, now, I don't think Tomlin would have done it if he didn't think he would get the right result from it.
Exactly.
So he knows him far better than I do, and he thinks that's the right button to push, and I always defer. If Mike Tomlin's doing it, I think it's the right thing.
Yep.
So I like what you're saying there, and I can tell you Jeudy will not have the kind of game Sunday that he did in Denver. That's a one-off. But I do think that there is a real chemistry developing between Jameis and Jeudy. Do you guys feel that too?
Sure. Yes.
Yeah.
And I don't mean just because you look at the yardage, but I think sometimes he's throwing the ball to Jeudy when he wasn't the first option on that play call. And I like that. That means, I don't know if it's changed the way he's gone through his progressions, but he's finding Jeudy and he's finding him open, and they've built a nice little chemistry, which you would expect. By the way, they only had a handful of reps together. And as the season goes on, they're getting more in practice because he's the starter now. And I think there's a real thing developing between Jameis and Jeudy. And I think they're going to put up some big numbers Sunday.
I'm going to stupidly convince myself that the Browns are going to have a good game plan defensively. When it comes to the Steelers, George Pickens is their only receiver. They have nobody else that's any good at wide receiver. And I got to believe Denzel Ward is following him around. They probably won't, and they'll probably get a big play on Martin Emerson. But I think if Denzel Ward's on Pickens, I don't think Pickens is going to have much of a day. And if I'm the Browns, I don't know why you wouldn't put him on, because nobody else is going to – like Emerson can handle the rest of their receivers.
Austin seems to be – he's productive.
I mean, what's his stats, Mike?
He's a guy.
He had a nice
not
guy.
good. Pickens has more receiving yards than the next two guys combined.
I mean, is Freiermuth second on the team in receiving?
Freiermuth is second with 422 yards.
Yeah, he's
Pickens
a tight
has
end.
850, and Austin has 383.
Are you confident that there won't be any coverage busts?
No, and that's why I could see that. Yes, and Pickens could, like, I could see Pickens having 90 yards on 2 catches.
Yeah,
because he's a big play guy, but so's Jeudy been a big play guy.
He has been, very much so.
And their top back is what's his name, Joey Porter
Jr.
And he's not as good as Denzel
but
Ward.
he's not Denzel.
No.
I mean, I think it'll be close. I think Jeudy and Pickens' yardage at the end of the day will be close. I just think. I think the Steelers have a lot of motivation. Imagine,
They do.
Again,
I think they're going to play pissed off.
I'll go back to Ohio State, Michigan, and I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but imagine if Ohio State got to play Michigan 2 weeks later. I tend to think the outcome would be a lot different. Maybe not. Maybe
no. Ryan Day would be even tighter. The guy's a tight ass.
Yeah, I agree.
Kevin Stefanski's not a tight ass.
I think.
But neither is Mike Tomlin.
I believe if Ohio State played Michigan again next Saturday, the outcome would be far different.
In Ann Arbor?
Well, in this instance, it would be you're going home.
But they've already lost the home game.
No. But Pittsburgh's going home.
Right, but what I'm saying is Ohio State already had the home game and they lost it.
Hypotheticals.
Yeah,
sure.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying. The team that should have won in the first place is going home. They're getting them on their home field now.
Yeah.
I just think Pittsburgh's going to have a much better day Sunday.
Well, I think they're going to win too.
Yeah.
But I think in typical Browns fashion, they can lose but put up gargantuan numbers with the passing game, because if you're trailing, and by the way, the Browns were never really trailing by as much in the Denver game as you would think that they would just completely abandon the run.
Out of it.
Yeah.
They were never out of it.
Yes, they don't commit to it, but they haven't been able to run.
They have not been able to run
no
it at all.
success at all.
Yeah.
I said Monday night on the 7 o'clock that Mary Kay and I do with Nick.
Point after, I think.
Yeah. I said that I cleaned it up a little bit of what I put in the group text, that riding with Jameis is a lot like those crazy women that you would have dated in your 20s that are, it's a wild ride. You're probably going to wind up in the ER, maybe jail. It's going to be a great time, and she's going to ruin your life.
Yeah.
And Russ Mitchell had no idea what to do with me by the end of that.
Yeah, I can imagine. I love Russ. Russ has probably had a nice witty retort that he saved.
He did. He said something like, "I can't imagine the women you dated in your 20s."
Yeah. I don't think he wants to imagine.
I'm going to save Jason. Let's get to the next one. T.J. Watt in the first matchup against the Steelers only had 2 pressures. In the rematch, will he have 5 or more? So at 5 or more, J. Bull, G, Jason, and Earl said, nah, this Browns offensive line has it. Tyvis, Dustin, myself said, we think 5 pressures is happening for TJ Watt. And I'll tell you why first, if you allow me.
Yeah, go ahead.
Do you remember after the first game when Miles called out TJ?
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
I'm picking Miles over TJ 10 out of 10 times. Do not mistake what I'm about to say for
I know
comparing
where
the
you're
two. But just like Miles had remembered what TJ had tweeted after he won the DPOY, I think TJ is going to come out motivated. And Conklin's done pretty well on the right side. He can certainly handle his own. TJ's had 5 or more pressures in 8 games already this season. Much more than half. It's not an absurd number. I think 5 is going to happen. He's going to play motivated in this contest. I'd still rather have Miles.
He is going to be motivated because I thought, like you, I thought when those comments made it their way back to him for sure.
Yeah.
And, sometimes, and this guy plays with a hot motor all the time, but does he have another gear? He seems to. We'll find out.
We're doing the X Factor in the TV show, right?
We are.
Yes.
So I got my answer in too late because I agree with you. I put TJ Watt as
that's who I
changed.
We all said TJ.
So I changed it to somebody else.
I think what we should have done for the question is take Miles
and Watt out of it,
TJ and the quarterbacks out.
Oh, we could do that when we get there.
So trouble is, I'm sure you have graphics built and
we got graphics for every player.
Here's the thing: like TJ has been the player in this series multiple times, but he had James Hudson across from him.
Right.
Jack Conklin is not James Hudson. And I thought the Browns did a nice job, and I think this was really more Wyatt than the scheme. I'm sure you guys saw the clip that went viral of Wyatt coming over and just launching TJ on a play, which I don't understand why they didn't give that support to Hudson when he was on an island with TJ on some of those. The Baker game is stuck in my head.
Yeah, of course.
Well, I think that had more to do with running Baker out of town.
Well, I've had that conversation with people, and they felt like there was opportunities for him to get the ball out, and he was holding the ball too long.
I know, but Jay,
I agree with you.
When you're watching it in real time, you're screaming, how about some help over there?
I totally agree.
They could have made that decision at any point during the game and did not.
I wrote after that game, this feels like it was Baker's last game in a Browns uniform, and it was.
It felt like they wanted it to be his last game in a Browns uniform.
TJ, I think, will be the X factor. If he's getting the pressures, it's going to be a long day for Jameis.
Yeah.
But I think Conklin is a lot better than, obviously, he's better than James Hudson, and with just enough help from Wyatt, or
slow him down,
or a chip
now,
off
I did
from
see,
a running back.
And this kind of changes my answer, but Highsmith is going to play.
He is.
And he did not play in the first game. And how many times do we talk about, yes, TJ's a great player, he's also a product of having other great players around him.
Yeah.
And now one of
he's
the
going to
other good
have
players,
one of those stalwarts
Yeah.
on that defensive line. That means the Browns have to spend a lot more attention on Highsmith that they didn't have to spend in the first game. So
he probably will get it. I just can't stand TJ Watt, so I'm rooting against him. So TJ, I got some big news. First of all, TJ Watt is in my top 5 most hated players in the NFL.
Who did he bump out?
You want to know well, he's already been there.
Oh,
Baker.
You want to know who I took out?
not Baker.
He likes
took
Baker
out
now.
Baker?
He
Took
said,
Baker out.
You've made peace with Baker?
Well, not personally.
No,
but-
Wednesday on the show when Aditi was with us, he said, I kind of like Baker now. I don't hate him anymore.
Wow. I don't know. Did I say that? That I like him?
Well,
I'm not
no,
going to.
what you said was he's not nearly as annoying, and you think he's grown
that's
up.
True.
You think he's matured.
I think, and I saw another press conference with him where he had to wear a Missouri sweatshirt
For the Missouri-Oklahoma bet.
and the sweatshirt said Missouri Grandma on it. And he was
awesome.
joking around with the media. Like, I felt like he was kind of dickish to the media here, and that really rubbed me the wrong way.
it for sure was.
It was like when he played well, but anytime he played poorly, he would get on the media, and I thought it was unfair.
You know what's wild about
I didn't like that?
The Oklahoma media loved him. And
He
thought
had nothing but success there.
And that had a lot to do with it. But I
Right.
remember talking to some of the Oklahoma writers who I went down to Oklahoma to do a story on.
Yeah,
him.
right. I remember that.
And so I got to know some of the Oklahoma writers. It was particularly the one that worked for us. And he knew Baker really well.
Yeah.
And he said, I look at Baker and think, like, who hurt you? Like, what happened?
Yeah, why are you so broken?
This is not the same dude that we had in Norman at all. And now in Tampa.
They
he
love him in
seems to be-
Tampa.
And
right, because he's a different guy now. He's probably back to the guy he was in Oklahoma on some level. I thought it was interesting when he was here. He would constantly be defiant about, hey, do you need to mature? Do you need to? And he was, no, I am who I am.
Yeah.
Well, he's changed clearly.
He has.
I mean, I don't know. It is
He's admitted, Bull. He said it on record.
Yeah.
He's changed. He grew up. He needed Cleveland to get to where he is
exactly
at this point of his career.
And so
that's why
that's it. I'm
TJ
done.
Watt's annoying to me right now because he's in every commercial.
Yeah, the Watt
Somebody,
family, yeah.
whoever represents JJ and TJ, have been watching the success of the Kelsey brothers and saying, wait a minute, why can't we do that?
Yeah,
and now they're literally in every other commercial.
They had Bill Murray on the Kelsey brothers the other day.
Did they really?
Yeah, it was
on their
pretty
pod?
funny. Yeah. But I love the Kelsey brothers. If they were not from Cleveland and they weren't that likable, I'd be done with them.
Yes,
I'm kind of getting sick of them. Mahomes, I can't take anymore, and I loved Mahomes, but I can't take him anymore.
Well, get
He's
used to
in
Kelsey.
every
Jason
commercial.
just got his own show on ESPN.
We have one more fence rider question,
Yeah.
then we want to get to Cavs, and I want to make sure we get enough time for the baseball topic. So let's get through this last fence rider relatively quickly. What number is going to be higher on Sunday? David Njoku's targets or Nick Chubb's rushing attempts? Njoku led the NFL last week with 17 targets against the Broncos. Chubb had 9 rushing attempts in the game. How will it look on Sunday? Well, we have a dead even split. Jay, Jason, Earl, and Dustin went with the Njoku targets being higher than the Chubb rushing attempts. Bull, G, Tyvis, and myself all went with the Chubb rushing attempts.
It's surprising how wrong you guys are on this.
Wow. Well, please tell me why.
Well, because the amount of targets he had last week is, that's not normal.
Okay, cut it in half. It's still more rushes than Chubb.
Well, you don't think Nick Chubb will get more than 8 rushes?
I mean, he hasn't. That's what
how many carries did he get last week?
He had 9.
And the week before, give me his
he had
carries
10.
by week.
Right around 10.
Nick Chubb by week coming up. He had
11 once. Didn't he have 11 for 50?
I got his game log right here. Okay, against Denver, 9 carries. Against Pittsburgh in the snow, 20. Against New Orleans, 11. Against the Chargers, 15. Against the Ravens, 16. And against the Bengals, 11.
Yeah, I mean, he's had double digits.
Probably 12 or 13
all game
average.
but one. I mean, even if you take out the anomaly of the 20 in the snow, but even if you take that one out, he's still probably averaging 10 or 11. I think he gets 11, 12. I think there's got to be part of him that wants to. That it's got to be meaningful playing in Pittsburgh. That's
Back
where he
at
got
that
hurt.
field. Yeah.
And
that's where the demons are for him.
Yeah, and I don't know. I got a feeling he's going to have like 13, 14
How
carries.
many did Ford get last week? I felt
9.
like
They both had
really.
9.
I felt like they were leaning more towards Ford.
I went back and forth on this one, and I probably did pick wrong. I probably should have gone Chubb. But I
mean,
do
it could
think
go
it'll be
either
close.
way.
Well, here's the thing. Jameis threw it almost 60 times. That's
Right.
not going to happen
No,
again.
no.
You don't think.
Woo!
Nah, I mean, it's
Who's happy? Who's
It's
most
still
happy
gonna
with
be-
that number, by the way?
Listen,
Jimmy.
I said that yesterday. This is what Ken Dorsey does. They throw the ball. They
Yeah.
call pass plays. They throw the ball. It may
Yes.
not be 60.
But it's in the 40s, high 40s.
High 40s.
But it's not going to be 60 again, most likely.
I mean, when you throw it that many times,
We'll see.
And the other team knows it's coming, and at somewhere around 45, they have a pretty good idea what you're going to do.
Yeah.
And that's where he broke down.
Yeah.
It was like, okay, we're not worried about the run at all, so we're not peeking our nose in there to start the play.
Yeah.
And we're going to squat on routes and we're going to jump routes. And when you do that, you get pick sixes.
Yep, that's true.
I think they should probably target the edges a little less because those are the dangerous throws. You know, when you go on the quick little outs, there's nobody. You're on an island, and if the defensive back smells it and jumps it,
Right.
it's 6 for the other team.
In the one touchdown, it was a defensive end, an undersized defensive end.
Yeah, and a wide receiver that just gave up on the play.
Well, right.
I mean-
Those are two different plays, though, right?
Well, the wide yeah, they were two different plays.
Yes,
They were different plays.
But yes,
You're right.
everybody.
But that guy can run.
I don't think I've met I think pretty much every single person I met yesterday at the Cavs game said, "What's with Elijah Moore in that play? Why did he touch him?"
Yeah.